Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to welcome you to this webinar that is anchored by Yaba Voice of the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Yaba, Lagos. It's the official voice of the hospital that is aimed at providing quality mental health education to the community. And today, we will be talking about something very, very pertinent and enriching, and that's too much or too little, sleep and sleep disorders. Today, we are all here to learn and to also enrich ourselves, because we're looking at better quality sleep to also enrich our mental health. Please note that we are also streaming live on Facebook. So if you can't connect here on Zoom, you can also join us on the Facebook page of Yaba Voice. The medical director and the chief host of this program, Dr. Osi Ogun, is here to welcome us formally to this webinar. You're welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. You are welcome to another webinar presentation by Yaba Voice from Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Yaba, Lagos. Today's topic is what happens in the life of everybody. The topic is too much or too little, sleep and sleep disorders. Like I said, we all do it. Scientists have discovered that virtually all animals sleep, and sleep has been described in many terms, and all languages have a name for it because it is a universal human experience. According to a poem on sleep by John B. Taub, it says, "When he's a little chap, we call him nap. When he's somewhat older grows, we call him doze. When he's aged by hours, we call him slumber." End the quote of the poem. But one thing we know is that we don't always do it well as much as we should. Sleep is an important part of our daily routine, as a third of our time is spent doing it. Quality sleep to the body is as important as to survival as food and water. Without sleep, we cannot learn or create new memories, concentrate, or respond quickly to events in our environment. Sleep is important to many brain functions, which include communications between the nerve cells called neurons in the brain. And one thing, while we sleep, the brain and the body stay active. Sleep helps remove toxins that build up in the brain when we are awake. Everyone needs sleep. But sleep is a complex, dynamic process that affects how we function. Researchers have found relationship of sleep to the biological functions of the brain, heart, and lung, and every organ of the body. Our metabolism, immune functions, emotional regulations, fertility, and even to development of the so-called neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's are all related to sleep functions. Sleep dictates how our body receives diseases. Chronic lack of sleep or getting poor quality sleep increases the risk of diseases like hypertension, heart diseases, diabetes, depression, and obesity. It is known that sleeplessness is a symptom of many physical and mental health disorders and some substances, while too much sleep may be a symptom of the substances, physical, and mental disorders. To do justice to the topic are two of our mental health professionals. Let me introduce you to Dr. Adefemi Adeoye, who is a fellow of the West African College of Physicians and is a consultant psychiatrist in this great institution, Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Yaba. He is the head of sleep disorders unit of the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Yaba, Lagos. The second speaker is pharmacist Olufunto Olude, who is a brand pharmacist with 19 years experience. She's presently a chief pharmacist at this hospital, the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Yaba, Lagos. And she heads the drug supply and logistics unit. She's also a fellow of the West African Postgraduate College of Pharmacists. Ladies and gentlemen, please sit down and listen to our experts while I hand you over to our usual moderator, Mrs. Oluwakemi Akintoyeshe. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I can always know that the medical director would not just welcome, but she also gives information that will whet the ground and also whet our appetite. I'm sure we are all eager to know so much about sleep, and there are lots of questions. I was saying to someone today, I said we had lots of questions even before we started the webinar this afternoon, because there are pertinent issues about sleep in our society, and people want to know. All right, so please, as we go on in the discussion, please just drop your comments or your questions in the chat box. We might not be able to take individual comments, but we're going to attend to all the questions and the comments in the chat box. And like I said earlier, we are streaming live on Facebook. Please look out for Yaba Voice Facebook page on the Facebook, and then like, and then you can also follow us via that medium too. We're going straight into the discussion for today, and like the medical director has said, Dr. Adefemi Adeoye is a sleep expert, and I know he has lots of information for us on this topic today. So I'm going to hand us over now to Dr. Adefemi Adeoye. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, my medical director and the host of this event today. This is an important topic, and I hope we'll all listen as we go through some of the aspects of sleep today. We've titled this Sleep Too Much or Too Little. And of course, you wonder why we're looking at, we all know what sleep is, and we'll look at a definition which describes sleep as a period of reduced activity, whereby we usually take a typical posture, oftentimes lying down and with our eyes closed. It usually results in decreased responsiveness to external stimulation. And of course, what differentiates it from state of unconsciousness is the fact that we are easily rousable from the sleep. And of course, one will wonder, why do we sleep? Despite the fact that we spend quite a number of hours sleeping throughout our lifetime. And we want to know, why exactly do we have to spend so much time sleeping? Yes, science has looked into this. We don't fully understand why we have to sleep. However, science is definitely about certain things. The fact that when we wake up in the morning, we feel more restored and energetic to start our days. That shows that sleep is important for restoration of our functioning. And also, can you imagine having to sleep, having to be awake 24 hours, 7 days a week and all that? We will get exhausted. So sleep helps us in conserving our energy. And another important function of sleep is looking at our immunity. We all know what's going on around the world. And one of the ways that you could differentiate someone with good immunity from the other is the abilities to sleep well. When we sleep well, there are certain immune cells that are produced and help to develop our immunity against infections and other things. So that's another very important function of sleep. Learning and memory function. Our memory is usually consolidated when we sleep. If you read certain things during the daytime and you don't have adequate night sleep, and you go for exams the following morning, a lot of people have brain block. And why is that? Because they did not sleep well. And if the ability to sleep well at night helps to consolidate memory and improves learning. There are other functions where sleep is very important. Certain metabolic functions like production of growth hormone that helps us to grow as a child to adult age and all that, and repair cells. So those things also take place in sleep. So you agree with me that sleep is very important. Sleep occurs in stages. Science has shown this, and what we call the light stage of sleep and the deeper stage of sleep are also the stage of sleep where we dream. So science has its own name for these stages. What happens as we grow older, from childhood to adulthood to old age? There are certain changes that occur along the line. One of these is the fact that we know that as a child, most of the children, a newborn baby, spend close to 16 to 20 hours sleeping. And this decreases at about 10 years to about 10 hours of sleep. And then as adults, we sleep averagely 7 to 8 hours during the night. Apart from the duration, there is also the changes in certain pattern and quality of our sleep. And also, elderly are more prone to having lighter and more fragmentation of their sleep. And we like to also quickly clarify the issue about quantity and quality of our sleep. Of course, quantity is what I just addressed. About 7 to 8 hours is acceptable as average in the society. However, there are certain things about quality of sleep. One is continuity of the sleep. We need to be able to sleep right, starting from the light stage of sleep and getting to the deeper, and then being able to maintain sleep without so much of interruption, without waking up for more than once or twice in the night. That's a good continuity in terms of our sleep. And then we have to be able to achieve various depths from the light to the deeper stages of our sleep. And that leads us to having a restful night. So those are the aspects of quality of our sleep that are important. And then when things go wrong with our sleep, what are the implications? My medical director already said some things about the physical disorders that could happen, like hypertension and some other disorders. But of course, this is a psychiatric hospital, so we have a bias towards mental health issues. So we are looking at issues surrounding sleep and mental health. And some of this is that if you have a poor night's sleep, you are likely to wake up in the morning feeling groggy, feeling irritable and unhappy. And then some people become more anxious, and even some have experiences, what we could describe as more serious disorders, like a psychotic disorder. And in the line of inability to sleep, some start misusing medications. They misuse prescription medication, they misuse alcohol, and then they develop substance use disorder. So these are some of just the few things that could go wrong when we don't sleep well. However, going to the focus of the topic for today, too much, too little. We start with the too much. And of course, some people will wonder, some people do have too much sleep. Yes, people can have too much sleep, especially when you start having excessive daytime sleepiness. When you desire to be awake and alert, functioning, doing your day-to-day activities, you are unable to keep alert. You are sleeping too much during the day. This is despite the fact that you had enough time to sleep at night. You still struggle to stay awake. This is a problem. And of course, few disorders have been identified in that regard. One is narcolepsy, which is common in the younger age group, but of course can happen in adults. Another one that is common in the adult age group is what we call the sleep apnea. Sleep apnea typically involves the fact that people who have sleep apnea, they snore very loudly at night. They wake up frequently during the night. They wake up choking or gasping for air. And that if they have bed partners, they will observe that sometimes it appears that breathing is unstable. So when they wake up in the morning, they are sleepy during the day, and people can make jest of them that, lazy guy, you're always sleeping at work. But of course, this is a disorder that needs to be taken care of. And of course, the more common one is what we all know, insomnia. That's too little sleep. Insomnia has to do with, are we able to achieve sleep when we go to bed? Or when we fall asleep, are we waking up too frequently during the night? Or we are waking up earlier than we desire? That's early morning awakening. And of course, when you have any of this, the important thing is that you present yourself to be a medical expert. And this expert, we're going to do a comprehensive assessment, taking history of what is going on with your sleep. And it is important to identify 3 aspects, looking at the predisposition to what is going on, precipitant of that particular encounter, and then what can perpetuate it. And therefore, we help the physician to set goals for your treatment plan. This goal can be non-pharmacological or pharmacological. However, prevention is always key. So that takes us to the treatment available. We could look at non-pharmacological and pharmacological. We prefer, especially when it comes to not sleeping well, we prefer the non-pharmacological way. But of course, there's certain period when you need medication to help you. Oftentimes, we want to make it a short-term thing, but of course, certain people will require it for a longer period. But of course, let that decision be taken by your physician. I'll round off by talking about sleep hygiene. Sleep hygiene are things that we all should do. I mean, the don'ts and the do's that will help our sleep generally. And the first one among the don'ts is that don't have irregular time of going to bed or waking up in the morning. And that means we need to cultivate habits of going to bed at the regular time and waking up at the regular time. The other thing that we don't want you to do, especially if you are having problems with sleeping at night, is the fact that you should limit siesta as much as possible. What I mean is that don't sleep during the day if you're already having sleep problem at night. And this, if you must have siesta at all, you should limit it to like something less than 45 minutes. And people sometimes misuse alcohol, thinking that it will help them to sleep. We discourage this because once you take alcohol, even though it might make you sleep easily, but it makes your quality of sleep to be poor, and then you wake up frequently during the night. We also advise that you avoid things like caffeinated drinks, especially 6 hours to bedroom. Of course, coffee, tea, some soft drinks, and some chocolates are components that things that contain caffeine. And then, as per food, we advise that you avoid spicy or sugary foods at least 4 hours before bedtime, and rather take light snacks before bed so that you don't feel hungry in the night. What you could do to help your sleep is to exercise regularly, especially in the morning and early afternoon, not too close to bedtime. Your bedroom or bed should be comfortable for you to sleep, maintaining a good temperature, not too cold, not too hot. Block out noise as much as possible. Eliminate light, so that we prefer you sleep in a dark environment. Of course, we also encourage that the bed should be should be limited to sleep and sex, rather than turning your bed into an office or a workstation. With all this, if you're able to abide by this rule, I'm sure you have good quality sleep. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adeoye. He had been able to take us through what exactly sleep is, and he said it's a period of reduced activity. It's about lying down. I would have a question for him later on there, because I had a friend who, when we are sitting in class, she's sleeping. Any slight thing, standing up, she can sleep. You know, at a point in time, they named her sleepwalker. So I don't understand. Maybe that what she was doing was sleep or something else. So we'll also get into that. I hope you're also noting your questions and comment. We'll be taking that in the chat box. So please just write that down. And then they also told us about the average hours of sleep that people can have. For adults, he has said 7 to 8 hours. For children, about 10 hours. Do we achieve that now? These are some of the things that we want to look at today. Begin to look at, is it too much? Is it too little? When it happens like that, what can we do? And he had also been able to give us lots of solutions in terms of improving our quality of sleep and said regular bedtime. How many of us actually achieve that? Yes, coming into traffic all the time, having to rush out of the house, is imbalanced, and some of these things we'll begin to look at. How do we now bridge that gap? How do we begin to help ourselves in such a way that we're able to push through some of these things, tips, and then achieving a quality lifestyle and balanced life. We have Pharmacist Olufunto, who is also here to talk to us too about what we need to know on too much or too little sleep and sleep disorder. Pharmacist Funto Olude, you're welcome.
Perfect. So I'll just go on with my presentation. So I'm starting with the food thought. I'm starting with this quote, which is sleep is the golden chain that ties our health and bodies together. This is one thing we need to understand because sleep is very, very important. Dr. Adeoye has already given us a slight definition, but sleep really can't be clearly defined in any form. But if you're joining us for this webinar right now, you are still in for a good time and of course for more tips for you to learn, even though he has said a few things, so I will overlap a bit. So I want us to understand that sleep is an active, essential, and involuntary process without which we cannot function effectively. A complex process during which the brain recovers and regenerates itself. So when we sleep, our brain processes information, consolidates memory, and enables us function effectively during the daytime. That's why, even as it has been said, if you have a job interview the next day, or you have an exam, it's important that you get quality sleep because your brain processes the information and you are able to at least deliver well when you're awake and you've slept well and you go for your interview or you have an exam. So the students on this platform right now, it's important to note that it's not for you to sleep, to wake up all night reading before you go for an exam. It's important that you have good quality sleep so that at least you can remember all that you have learned. So why is sleep very important? We've already said that before, but I'll just state the points again. Sleep is important because it fortifies the immune system. Right now, during this COVID period, this was one of the things that was being reiterated each time. That it is important that you get good quality sleep so that your immune system will be fortified and built. It helps with hormonal balance, it increases physical energy, and also helps your brain function. We're talking about too much or too little sleep. He had already listed some of the classifications, and you're talking if it's too much sleep, you have a condition called narcolepsy, which is when someone just sleeps all of a sudden like that. It's a rare condition, but it's a condition that actually can be taken care of. In some instances, you'll be surprised that someone who is sleeping too much may actually have an underlying illness, and it may be a sign of depression. And in some instances as well, people may be on prescription medications that may actually make them sleep too much. We have clients who come in and some of the medication that they take actually will make them sedated and could make them sleep a bit too much during the day. But it's important that if you are on such prescriptions, you discuss with your pharmacist, you talk to your medical professional, your medical practitioner, who will help you either adjust your dose or just change your dosage regimen so that you can function well during the day. So if you're not sleeping enough, which is too little, and I believe that is what most people are experiencing, it could also be a sign of a depressive or a disorder. We know through this period there has been a lot of loss of jobs, and people have become so lethargic because they're not really sure what is going to happen to them. So you find some may be sleeping too much, or some may actually be sleeping too little because they are so anxious, because it's also a sign of an anxiety disorder as well, or some may be using excess alcohol, which was already mentioned, or you are also on some prescribed drugs that will make you alert. Reasons why as well you need to discuss with your pharmacist, because you'll be counseled on how to take your drugs appropriately. If you're not taking your drugs appropriately, drugs that will make you alert during the day, and you end up taking it at night, then you will not sleep either. You could also be going through stress would allow you not to sleep, or you're a busy executive and you're going from one trip to the other out of the country, and then you are unable, you're traveling between time zones, and you may end up having jet lag, and that will also affect your sleep, as well as if you are also a shift worker like most of us medical practitioners are. Your body is conditioned to sleep at night, or you're probably on duty at night and you cannot sleep well. So these are some of the issues that will really lead to you not sleeping well enough. But the key thing that you must understand, and even some people who take illicit drugs as well, who end up having substance abuse disorders, also who go through some form of insomnia as well. But it's important for you to know that you can improve the quality of your sleep. And like Dr. Adeoye had already mentioned, you have either the non-pharmacological method or the pharmacological method. And it is preferred that you go through the non-pharmacological method in terms of being able to take care of yourself. We're talking about sleep hygiene. He mentioned it already. You ensure that your sleep environment is adequate. You have the right mattress, the right pillow, you have the right temperature. Your room is well ventilated, and your room is strictly for sleeping. And then, of course, relaxation techniques as well. You can meditate. You can practice some form of mindfulness. At the same time, you could even decide that you want to have a massage. For ladies who decide that they want to go for facials, if it's properly done and you have a head massage, it helps to relax your nerves, and then you're able to sleep. As already mentioned, you should avoid smoking, caffeine, sugars that can also increase the activity and prevent you from sleeping. Avoid heavy meals at night. It's better if you take a warm cup of milk. That would actually help you to sleep. You take a warm bath before you sleep, especially when you know that you have issues with this. Another key thing that we need to that I want to really focus and zone in on is avoiding screen time before bed. Many of us at this point in time right now we're even on Zoom, but many of us are using our devices, and we feel that, okay, it's fine enough to use our devices. But we must understand that the artificial blue light that is emitted from the screens, we're talking about your TV, we're talking about your laptops, we're talking about your iPads and your phone, has a way of triggering the production of more daytime hormones. And this actually can interrupt and distort your body from being prepared for sleep. So it's advised that you drop your devices at least 90 minutes before going to bed. Ensure these things are not, they're off, and for some of us who don't know, if on your phone there's an app that is the eye care, you can actually use it during the day, which helps to reduce the blue light that is emitted. Other non-pharmacological methods, you have the cognitive behavioral therapy. Of course, you will have to see a specialist alongside the psychologist to help you with this, because we're talking stimulus control, where you should actually sleep only when you feel sleepy. And if you don't, you may just get up and engage in a little bit of activity before you go back to bed. The thing about the cognitive behavioral therapy is to ensure that you change your thought pattern, so that, because there's sometimes you may be on the bed and you're like, oh, it's 1:30 in the morning. I am definitely not going to sleep. You've already positioned and prompt yourself not to sleep. But you should be able to change your thought pattern. But when you work with the specialist, the psychologist, and the sleep doctor here, you will be able to at least work through it. And of course, probably see how you can also chart the time and record, so that you can also see the number of hours that you sleep, and then you can see how you can adjust your sleep pattern. Now, the pharmacological method, which I know that many people will think is the best way for them. Now, this, you have to be very careful. You are not to get on any prescription medicines without it being duly prescribed by your doctor and it being dispensed to you by a certified pharmacist. Now, we have prescription medicines that are called hypnotics. You have different types. There could be the benzodiazepines and the non-benzodiazepines. And these things are used short term. We have clients who come in and they want this thing to be extended, but the key thing is it is short term. Why? Because there are also risks assigned, that come along with it. You are at risk of tolerance, of dependence, and even a rebound effect that will make you even have insomnia that may be worse off than what you had before. Now, tolerance, we're talking about you taking the medication. You take a first tablet, you feel okay, you're able to sleep. Now you feel that you can continue with it, especially when you get this without supervision by your doctor. I know that some people will decide to find a way around getting these prescription medicines, these hypnotics, because they feel this is what works for them. But when you begin to take more than you should, your body begins to tolerate, and after a while, you become dependent on it. And then after a while, it doesn't work for you. And then before you know it, you have a rebound effect. You end up having insomnia, which is worse. You are unable to sleep, even worse off, or you end up even being addicted. At the same time, you could have and you want to stop. You will now have a withdrawal symptom that will leave you in a really terrible state, and then you end up really having a mental health disorder. So it's important that you do not take this without your doctor, and usually the prescription maximum is between just 2 to 4 weeks, because it's used for short term. You have some over-the-counter medications, some supplements that people also take that you could get across the counter if you go to a pharmacy. You have melatonin nutritional supplements, but still you must ensure that you exercise caution, because It may not work for you if you have chronic insomnia. If you do have chronic insomnia, it's important that you see your specialist. There are teas, chamomile tea, that people also take. So we're going to conclude now. I just want you to note that sleeping poorly actually increases the risk of having poor mental health. The consequences of poor sleep is really gathering a lot of health attention, and that is why we're having this webinar, to be able to educate you so that at least we can improve your sleep quality and help you to prevent you from getting into a mental health disorder as well. Misuse of these drugs, as many would like to do, of the prescription medicines to enhance your sleep, only worsens your situation. Ensure if you have sleep issues or you're taking any prescription medicines, talk to your pharmacist, discuss with your doctor so that you can be well guided and monitored. If you have serious sleep issues, ensure that you speak with your sleep specialist, of which we have Dr. Adeoye here. And of course, the hospital is available. We have the sleep clinic for you where you can access so that we can help you improve your sleep. So I'll just stop with this line, that quality sleep improves your mental health. And that is what we are all about today. Thank you for listening, and I will hand over to the moderator. Thank you.
Thank you so much, pharmacist Olufunto. That was well loaded. And I hope you had gotten quite a lot of information about what we're talking about today. She had gone through not just the pharmaceutical aspect alone, but also she looked into the psychological. And there's something pertinent that she said, and that's the fact that your thought has a role to play in whether you sleep or not. So the moment you feel or you think I can't, then obviously you won't be able to. So conditioning and other things still comes to play, and that's also very, very important thing to take away from this webinar today. And then again, she talked about poor sleep being on the rise in our environment, and the consequences are really, really high. I want to thank people for the comments that had been coming into the chat box. But then I had a question before we came in here today. Dr. Adeoye, I would love you to take that question. And that is the fact that somebody says he has to leave Ikorodu 4:30 every day. And he gets back home at about 8:30, 9. And so 4:30, and then he would have to eat a solid food, because all through the day he doesn't eat. And so when he gets home, he eats a bar, he eats something very strong that will energize him. And then he gets up around 3, 4, ready to go back to work. And then part of what you are saying now is nothing heavy before going to bed. How does this person wants to manage? I said he has a very big body build and he needs that kind of food. So what's the solution for this individual? Consider the place that he's coming from and every other thing. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you very much. Whatever decision, if you think that your health is important, so you have to prioritize behaviors that will help your health. So of course, I get asked this question often because especially people living in Lagos. We all know the dynamics of Lagos, where we live so far away from where we work and all that. But of course, if you start having challenges with your sleep, so you have to look at things that could be contributing to problem with your sleep. So you might need to get a place closer to your
All right, thank you, Dr. Adeoye. His response is get a place close by, because the cost of living far away and eating late might be more detrimental than any other thing that you want to talk about. And so that is very, very important. So it's like weighing the balance, putting it on a scale. Which one is better? Is it about living far, or is it about eating healthy? Compare it, do a comparative analysis, and that will help you to be able to make an informed decision about what you need to do. That helps you better, and then because considering also your mental health issues, that would help you to be able to stay functional, and then you are able to work well. You know, when we were younger, there is a song that they used to sing for us then, for especially for people who sleep too much. I don't know, apologies for people who doesn't understand Yoruba, I would interpret. It says, Jonah, Olorun, Osun, Ejagbeje, like Jonah the sleeper, he sleeps, and then the fish swallowed him. It's like a biblical story where Jonah was thrown into the water because he overslept. And that's the assumed story. But now, we have lots of people that also oversleep. You know, somebody made a comment here and said, sorry, I'm trying to look for that. Obi, yes, not only when I start to read that excessive sleep torments me, it also happens to me when I'm receiving a lecture in class. And this person obviously needs help. You can imagine being in class, receiving lecture, and then all that you're doing is sleep. Pharmacist Funto, what can we do? How can we help this individual, please?
Okay, can you repeat? Okay, because I lost you a bit.
All right, so the question is saying not only when I start to read that excessive sleep torments me, it also happens to me when I'm receiving a lecture in class. What can this person do? How can we help this individual?
Okay, if when he is reading, he feels okay, but that's a very funny question. The first key thing is, does he sleep well at night? Because if he's saying during the day, he's already feeling sleepy, you know, it's very important that he gets proper rest during the night. If he's not sleeping and probably he hasn't, I need to ask whether he is chatting with people all through the night, and then by the time he is up during the day, he's sleeping when he's reading or something. But if at all he feels that sleepy, the best thing is to engage in some form of activity. He should get up. You know, when we're having lectures or you're in a program and you're feeling sleepy, you're advised to get up and move a bit so that at least you can be alert for whatever activity that you're engaged in at that time. So he could do that and ensure that he sleeps properly at night, because he hasn't told us that part. If he wasn't sleeping, if he doesn't sleep well, and then he goes in for a lecture or he has to read, he will definitely sleep off. So it's important that he first ensures that he practices the proper sleep hygiene so that he has adequate sleep during the night. And if during the day he's still feeling like that, then he should just ensure that at least he moves and is a bit active. If it's something that really bothers him, then he may probably have to see a specialist to really discuss this issue.
All right, thank you. Very, very brilliant responses. All right, from Caroline, your question is, what happens, Dr. Doya, I would love you to take this, when children don't have sufficient time to sleep during the day due to their parents, time to sleep because of their parents' busy activity during the day, and the same children have to wake up early the following morning. So what happens to these children, and then what is the way out?
All right, so thank you very much. This question is still about lifestyle and our choices. So we have the responsibility of recognizing the importance of sleep, especially for a growing child, and do everything possible in order to let a child achieve adequate hours of sleep. A child who is learning, attending schools, need adequate hours of sleep for optimal learning, and we should allow them the opportunity to have enough hours of sleep. So this, I'm not going to really encourage so much of daytime sleep. Prefer that you consolidate all your sleep to night time. So you such a mother should allow enough time for children to go early to bed, and then not waking up too early in the morning. So you shouldn't allow those children to use adult bedtime for themselves, because they generally require a longer period of time in bed, especially depending on their age too. So that is the ideal thing. But of course, silent situation might arise that makes it difficult for us to implement that. But we should work towards achieving the optima in terms of allowing children to go to bed early, not watching TV late into the night and all that, so that they can have adequate sleep, because it's very important for their growth, for their learning, and other aspects of their health. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Adeoye. There's another question here, which says that the quality of sleep, does it matter whether it is during the daytime or night? Okay, does the quality of sleep matters whether it is during day or night? Or what are the benefits? Dr. Adeoye, I want you to answer this because this is directed to you. What are the benefits of night sleep compared to day for adults? So is there a difference between or the quality of night sleep for an adult? What's the benefit for adults?
Well, that's another very good question. By design, nature has designed the daytime for activities and the night for less activity, because it's usually dark. Long before electricity was invented, at night you could do less activity. So you have little choice than to sleep. We prefer, and there's also a biological clock called the circadian rhythm, whereby regulates our daytime activity. We are more alert during the day and more relaxed and more tendency towards sleep at night. So we recommend
All right, a bit sorry there was a bit of network issue. But we will just continue while we try to rectify that. So we'll go back to that question as soon as Dr. Adeoye is reconnected. Funto, there is this question here, Funto, and that is music, sleep, does it help? Does music help people to sleep, or does it have any implication in the way people sleep too?
Okay, thank you for that question. Music actually plays a part when it comes to sleeping, but you must listen to the appropriate kind of music. If there's certain kind of music that has a way of soothing your nerves, because it's part of relaxation techniques. You can play certain kind of music that, like still waters, that has a way of just soothing your nerves. There is no way you're going to sleep if you're listening to hip hop or hardcore rap, or if you like Fuji and that is what you are playing and you want to sleep. Surely you will not sleep, because your body is still activated and you're pumping some adrenaline, and definitely you will not sleep. So the kind of music you should listen to, you're talking about jazz, there are certain tapes, there are people who actually sell these things, that all you hear is still waters. You're just hearing waters, you know, and that actually helps. So that's where music comes in, or it's the appropriate kind of music that you should listen to. It's soothing, it's cooling, it's not loud, it doesn't pump your adrenaline, it just makes you feel relaxed.
All right, thank you.
Right sound. Yeah, I'm told it's called right sound.
All right, so thank you. Funta said it's all like the I feel good, not that kind of music. Definitely something very quiet and still. All right, so we'll go back to Dr. Adeoye. He's ready now to address that other question. Thank you, Dr. Adeoye.
Thank you. I'm sorry for the network issue. Well, I was saying that by nature, we are more alert during the daytime and more tendency towards sleeping at night. long before the invention of electricity, most activities at night are limited because there's limited light, so you have to sleep. But of course, with electricity and technology, night becomes daytime. So, but we encourage, because there's a circadian rhythm, where this is natural, like a biological clock that is inbuilt in every individual, whereby we are most alert in the morning and least alert towards night, more tendency towards sleepiness at night. So if we align our body or sleep time towards this natural biological clock, it will help our sleep naturally. And of course, we are able to sleep better. But of course, I must say that there are certain individuals who have this disorder whereby they are more alert during the night and more sleepy during the daytime. They are like a variant from the normal population. The major problem is that if they have a daytime job, they cannot align their body system to that. So if they have a job that permits them to work at night and sleep during the day, fine. So, but generally, most people sleep during the night and work during the daytime. So we will prefer that you make the nighttime your sleep time and limit napping to less than 45 minutes, except when recommended, or you don't have any choice than to do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adeoye. Ugo, we have seen your comment here about an instance when you wake up regularly in the night to urinate in the middle of the night. It was part of what Dr. Adeoye earlier on addressed. And then Obi said his own excessive sleep started many years ago without any underlying sickness. He had to be taking drugs, and even now he's still taking drugs. You could also discuss with experts that they will help you to know things that you should do moving forward. Again, let me ask Funto. Funto, I wanted to address this. Well-being has spiritual content. I hope you're getting that. So how do we now manage prescribed regular vigil with need for sufficient sleep? You know, sometimes some churches come and say 40 days vigil, 1 week vigil, 2 month vigil, 1 year vigil. How do you now manage that, those prescribed type of vigil with regular need for sleep? How do we manage that as individuals?
Now, the body has a normal, regular rhythm. I believe you can hear me. Yes, of sleep. Now, if you engage in regular vigils like that, remember that you are building your sleep debt and you will still have to pay it. But you must understand your body and understand the limits, because if you do this longer than normal and you distort your normal biological timer, you're going to have a lot of issues. So you must know when to cut it and when to stop. If you do it for a bit, which some of us do, you will eventually be able to pay it over time and normalize. But if it gets beyond normal, it is advised that you try and take a break so that you do not affect your mental health. At the end of the day, we have people who do that and just go on excessive vigils, and at the end of the day, they break down. So you must know where to stop and know the limits. Okay. So it's important that you will be able to pay your sleep debt. Best to just stop so that you can adjust yourself, which is very important.
All right, thank you, Funto. We have a few minutes left, and I want us to address as much questions as possible here. Dr. Adeoye, somebody saying from age 6, okay, Professor O Egara, your comment about not being able to sleep from age 6 is noted here. Too many things before nighttime, and that's why it's important to begin to empty the mind before you go to sleep. Somebody is saying here, my husband is an APC with chronic insomnia. He has been on different sedative, but it's not working. Part of what we're going to be talking about here is a sleep clinic in here, yeah, but just hold on to the end of this presentation and then you get that information. Chire, some people don't have the means, yet they need to work to survive and things like that. We understand that there are lots of issues about sleep, the environment, and other things like that. That comment is also noted. We appreciate all these comments, regular sleep period routines. Yes, thank you so much for that. And then there's this question, Dr. Ado, in 1 minute, what particular time is best for children between 10 to 13 years to sleep and wake up? Do you have a prescribed time? Somebody is asking that question here.
Thank you very much. The time we suggest is such that to accommodate for a 10-year-old about 10 hours of sleep. So if you can work out a particular time when he has to wake up, and then he will be able to have had the 10 hours of sleep, then you could answer the question yourself. So what is the target wake-up time? Is it 6 a.m. for instance? So what if it's 6 a.m.? Then you have to walk back 6 a.m. to accommodate about 9 to 10 hours of sleep, So that's the answer to the question.
Okay, Obi, your questions to the earlier comment had been noted. I would advise also that you will see a specialist who might be able to help you. Obi has said he sleeps, even if he sleeps for 24 hours, he's still tormented by sleep. Afunto, does posture have anything to do with the way we sleep or the quality of the sleep that we're able to achieve?
Definitely. We talked about, in terms of sleep hygiene, we talked about the sleep environment and your posture, which has to do with your mattress. If your mattress isn't comfortable enough, or you're using a pillow that is not comfortable for you, it could actually affect your posture, and at the end of the day, affect the quality of sleep. If you're not well positioned, you have your back, and maybe it even leads you to snoring, or you're so uncomfortable, definitely the kind of sleep that you will have will not be one of good quality. You find that some people decide that because of that, they probably just sleep on the floor, and because they want to be able to straighten their back and not have aches. But if you're having aches because you're not well positioned, maybe you're all cramped on one bed, definitely you will not sleep properly. So posture also has a lot to do with it. It's very important that at least get a good mattress, one that will help you, and a good pillow. Because if your neck is not well, you will end up having aches through the night, and of course, your sleep still will definitely be affected. So posture really has something to do with it.
All right, thank you for that response, Funto. That's a beautiful one. Dr. Adeoye, there is another question here, and somebody said, I've been battling insomnia for 10 years, and I don't even know what to do about it. He said, are there practical? Just in 1 minute, give us tips that this individual could just take home from this webinar today, sir.
Well, thank you very much for that question. 10 years of insomnia is something that definitely will require an assessment. So we suggest that you come to our sleep clinic. In Yaba, we run a sleep clinic every Tuesday by 12 o'clock, and it's open to the public. The good thing is that we also have a sleep laboratory, one of the few ones available in Nigeria, which is available to the public when we need to do investigation to confirm certain sleep disorders. So if you come to our sleep clinic, we'll be able to assess you fully in order to be able to help you. So we probably might not be able to give you the answer today, but of course, if you listen to all the sleep hygiene suggestions and we've suggested, those could help. But I think for better assessment, you should come to our clinic. Thank you.
All right, so thank you so much, Dr. Adeoye, for that question. Ajoke Olatuji, your comment here and your question is noted. You're interested in too much sleep, and can we find a situation where one oversleep, always wanting to sleep, even in the face of more important present work to do? We will not be able to give you all the tips that you need to do here, but we have a sleep clinic here in Yaba. Dr. Adeoye is going to talk to us in a few minutes about that too, so that you can have adequate information about all of that. All right, so quite a lot of questions here. We might not be able to take all that we have in the chat box. We'll try as much as possible to talk about snoring. Yes, offending other people. Obviously, one does not know this, why they are sleeping and then they are snoring. Is there a drug or practice someone can do to reduce it? Dr. Adeoye, in 1 minute, can you just take that? When somebody oversnores, disturbing others, is there a drug for snoring?
Thank you very much. Snoring, like I mentioned earlier, is one of the possible symptoms that can be seen in people who have obstructive sleep apnea. Other features of people who have obstructive sleep apnea is that they tend to be overweight. They wake up frequently in the night. If they have bed partners, people see that they do have difficulty breathing at night, and sometimes they wake up gasping or appear they're choking and all that. So that's indication that you have obstructive sleep apnea. However, it's not all the people who snore in bed. If you are, the worst position that makes you to snore is when you lie down on your back. So you tend to snore more when you lie down on your back. So if you can develop the habit of sleeping off your back, then it will be nice. And then especially you can lie on your tummy or your side. If that doesn't work, then you might need to see a doctor for an assessment. There are other things that can make people snore apart from sleep apnea. So ENT might be relevant here, ear, nose, and throat. There's no particular drug that can make you not to snore. But if you notice that people, when they drink alcohol or any medication that can make your body to relax more, you tend to snore more. So you avoid such things. So that's the answer for that particular question.
All right, thank you, Dr. Adeoye. Before we finally round up, I want to just take a minute to just talk about the SIP clinic. What do you have to offer? How can people assess you at their days of clinic? Just give us that information in 1 minute while we're trying to round up here.
Thank you very much. Well, I briefly heard at the Sleep Total Diagnostic Center within the hospital. The Sleep Clinic runs every Tuesday at noon at the Total Diagnostic Center within this hospital, Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Yaba, Lagos. So it's a dedicated building where what we do there is sleep disorders alone. So you are separated from, if you have fears that probably you'll probably be mixed with regular patients. So it's just a clinic dedicated to sleep disorders alone. And it's usually in the afternoon. We don't want you to wake too early, so you can come and then we'll attend to you. Register there, get a file, and then we're able to see you. So we have experts there, suggest technologies who help us with few so need this at noon at this hospital. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Femi Adeoye. The Chief Host and Medical Director has a word to share with us, a take home from all of these webinar today. Over to you, ma'am.
Oh, thank you very much, Dr. Adeoye, pharmacist Olude, as well as our moderator, Oluwakemi. I saw from one of the comments, somebody said, what are the take home from this webinar? Now, the take home, we have said so many things this afternoon. But one thing we should all know is that adequate and quality sleep is necessary for mental and physical well-being. And if you experience too little or too much sleep, you need to consult your physician. Another point is that self-medication for sleep-related problems can result in mental and physical dysfunctions. And the fourth point I'd like to mention is that observing sleep hygiene will go a long way in helping our physical and mental well-being. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mark. Thank you to the presenters, pharmacist Funta Olude and Dr. Adefemi Adeoye. Thank you everyone for joining us once again today. You can always access the Yaba Voice link through the Twitter. We have Yaba Voice, one word, capital letter joined together. On Instagram, we're Yaba Voice, 2 different words. And also on Facebook, we're Yaba Voice, 2 different words. You can also send us a mail, yabavoice, fngphy@gmail.com. Also, if you want to call in, you can call in through 08138209409, 08138209409, and also 09029944321, 09029944321. All the questions and comments would actually be sent to the different platforms that we have, and then we'll also be talking about all of those things. But just understand that Yaba Voice is here to provide quality mental health information to people to help enhance our life and make us better. We look forward to seeing you in our next webinar, which we'll be talking about rape, implications and intervention. That's a topic I really look forward to, because it's something that's becoming a menace in our environment, and quite a lot of people have to deal with this and to deal with the implications even as a whole. Looking forward to seeing you once again. On behalf of the medical director once again and everyone here present, members of the Yaba Voice, we say thank you for joining us today. Until next time, please stay safe and God bless you. Thank you.